when introducing multi-step word problems to students that you give them a chance to really think through all the pieces and parts before they solve it. And so a frame is a great method to give the students a chance to talk through each piece. So in our frame for the problem, we like to put the problem in the middle, and then let's take a look at details with the kids, and then language of the discipline, and then unanswered questions, and finally patterns. So using these icons to help the kids to walk through the problem and really think about what the problem is asking before they solve it will help you tenfold, both for your kids who need a little bit of scaffolding and also for your kids who are so quick to solve the problem, but then when you ask them, how did you get the answer? They say, it was just in my head. So for the details, students might say, well, there's 7 stables, and there's 4 horses in each, and then they know 3 are out riding. So those details are really important. And then as far as language of the discipline, there might be words in here that they don't know. So they might not know what stable means, and so you need to make sure that you define that. But then going on, what words would a mathematician use? And so from the perspective of a mathematician, maybe they would pull out, the words each, because they know in each stable there's something, and so that kind of cues them in that they're going to multiply. And then how many are left? If they see that how many are left, then they know, oh, I should probably subtract. And then also just verifying, do they understand what multiply and subtract means? Do they understand multiply is groups of, and do they understand subtraction is taking away? And then next, we want to ask the kids, what unanswered questions do you have? Is there any missing information? Is there anything that you wonder? Is there extra information? And then finally, how do we solve the problem? So what do we need to know to solve the problem, and what is the question asking us to do? So essentially the question is asking for us to tell them how many horses are left in the stables. And so we need to figure out that final amount of horses. And then here in the pattern section, that's where we encourage students to show at least one way, one pattern that they would use to solve the problem. But for your gifted kids, this is a chance for them to shine. You want them to show several ways. So you might divide this in half, and then they will solve with 2 different strategies here. So for one strategy that students might have is the picture method. So they might literally draw out 7 stables, and then in those 7 stables, they are going to draw 4 horses. And then from there, they're going to say, well, 3 of the horses are out on a ride, so I'm going to get rid of 3. And then they can go through and count 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way until they get to 28. And then they know they're taking away 3, and then they have the answer clearly written. You can see their work, and you can also see their answer. And then you might have a student that they say that, well, they don't need to visualize. They already know that there's 7 stables, and each stable has 4 horses, and they know that they're going to multiply that. And so they'll show their multiplication problem, and that's 28. And then they say, okay, but 3 are out for a ride, so then the next step I'm going to take is 28 minus 3 to get me 25. And then I can still see their thinking. I still know that they understand multiplication. They might even know their multiplication tables, and then they understand that they need that second step to subtract to understand just how many horses are left. So as a teacher, it is clear to me if I gather up these papers, whether I've gotten a chance to really conference with each student or not during the math time, I can see, okay, they are pulling out the details that they need to understand in the problem. Here are their understandings or misunderstandings as far as language of the discipline goes. What do I need to clear up? Do they understand what this problem is asking? Because there are 2 steps. And then can they show me a couple of ways to solve this, or is it something that they need a little bit of help with? And then what are the misunderstandings there? It gives me a really clear picture of what they know and where we need to go next.